Great. I got a thumbs up, so that means that we are ready to go. Distinguished guests, ministers, all the audience here in Stockholm, but also all the audience that are following us online today. On behalf of Nordic and also the Nordic Council of Ministers, I wish to welcome you to this amazing day that we have ahead of us. The first of its kind, actually, Sustainable Living Summit. Yeah, wow, amazing. We have a fully packed venue, which is really great to see. My name is Åsa Sandberg. I will be moderating this day today, together also with some other people that will be moderating some of the sessions. Normally, I work with the issue of food loss and waste, which is also a big topic on the sustainable agenda. But now today, we're here to focus on sustainable living and behavior change. And today, we will zoom into some different area of sustainability, different sectors and disciplines. We will include youth. We will talk about education. We will talk about food system. We will talk about gender equality. We will also talk about the Nordic Swan eco-label in enabling sustainable living. And you will be listening to speakers from all across these sectors who will enlighten you, and they will present research findings for you. They will showcase solutions. You will hear about policies. You will have hands-on inspiration in all these kind of sectors. And then we will include a cook-along. We will even include a fashion show. Does it sound good? Yeah, good. You seem like a great audience. Perfect. Great energy in this room today. So I'm very thrilled to invite first on stage today to open up this session. It's my great honor to invite Sweden's Minister of Climate and the Environment, Romina Pourmokhtari. Stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me, on behalf of not only Sweden, but also the Nordic Council of Ministers, give you a warm welcome to Stockholm and to the Sustainable Living Summit. This year, Sweden holds the presidency of the Nordic Council of Ministers. And our presidency is guided by the vision of the Nordic region as the most integrated and sustainable region by 2030. We continue efforts to make sure that the Nordic region remains a leader in the efforts that the Nordic region is leading in green transition while being competitive and also socially sustainable. Today you will take part in important discussions on topics that regard sustainable development, a topic that is of course crucial for the future and deeply interconnected also with our daily life. And let me comment on some of the challenges relating sustainable development that are especially crucial. As we all know, global warming is already affecting us with wildfires, droughts, floodings and loss of biodiversity. Not only Sweden and Europe, but the whole world needs to go fossil-free and carbon neutral.
Can I ask you to sit down, please? Can I ask you to sit down?
Okay, so now we have listened to you. Maybe you can have a seat and we can listen to me for some time. Is that all right? Yeah? Okay. Your sign is upside down. You're welcome.
Thank you, and we're all here to act for change, so we've heard your message loud and clear. Thank you very much, and can I now ask you please to sit down? So can I get some... Resign,
Romina! Resign, Romina! Resign, Romina! Resign, Romina! Resign, Romina!
So can I get some members of staff to help me with this? And thank you very much for your message. And can you please now sit down so that we can continue with these important discussions today? So I think we can all agree that we've all heard this message now, so can you please sit down? or otherwise I'm going to have to ask you to move back to the back of the room.
Well, we'll see if it's possible to continue the speech. Of course, this is a topic that engages many people, and I'm quite used to this type of actions during my speeches. But I'm democratically elected by the people of Sweden, and if you don't agree with my policy, you're very welcome to vote for someone else when it's elections and engage yourself in politics in other ways than disturbing, because I'm publicly elected, so I'd very much like to speak. Thank you.
You are allowed to protest, but this is now a closed event, so I have to please ask you to be quiet. We've heard your message, as I said already, so now I think it's please enough to sit down. And let
We'll
Romina
try
continue.
again. Thank you so much. Thank you for your efforts. Today, we will hopefully be able to have important discussions on topics of sustainability, a topic that is crucial for the future and deeply interconnected with our daily lives as well. And as we all know, we're already affected, not only in Sweden and Europe, but the whole world needs to transition to become fossil-free and carbon neutral in only a few decades of time. And our economy is transitioning to become fossil-free. The demand for clean services and clean goods will hopefully increase as we aim to build prosperity and maintain our exporting nations. We must prioritize greater growth and greater economies with zero emissions. We know that this is possible. Since the 1990s, Sweden's emissions have diminished by more than a third, whilst our economy has doubled. And this is an important message to show that there is opportunity for economic growth through the sustainable transition for other countries that might not prioritize economic growth, in front of sustainability when facing difficulties such as poverty and loss of jobs. So we know that an important aspect of climate transition and sustainability is not least to increase circularity in our economy. And earlier this year, I presented the government's renewed take on circular economy issues. Unfortunately, I don't get to discuss these matters as often as I get to discuss climate engagement, so I'm very happy to be able to speak on circular economy matters today. This shift that we're having a look at from the government side, it addresses everything from recycling, reuse, waste management, plastics, chemicals, and textiles. And these topics are both personally important to me and a priority in our environmental policy. It's a window that we see for growth when it comes to Sweden's environmental policy that can shift. Earlier this year, I visited Nairobi for the UN Environmental Conference, and I took some time to visit Gikomba, East Africa's largest second-hand market. And I saw truly the challenges of circular economy implementation. It revealed big issues of textile waste being dumped, underscoring importance of a greater producer responsibility. And I'm happy to say that last night we had long negotiations discussing topics specifically regarding textile waste and plastic waste that is being dumped in other parts of the world. And many ministers raised that we do have a moral responsibility not only for the EU and for the European countries in the context that we're in, but also for the whole world and for the exports that come of the industries that we have. Circular economy is a topic that needs greater attention. There are a lot of misconceptions about what circular economy entails and a big lack of understanding of the opportunities that come for businesses and for industries to transform their production lines and value change to a more sustainable direction. A transition to a circular economy is a critical tool for improving resource efficiency and reducing emissions of pollutants and greenhouse gases. As we know, resource efficiency and a reduction of the amount of clean goods that we take from our planet, it stands for over half of the world's emissions. So it is a big possibility for us to lessen our climate emissions. So transitioning to a circular economy, it truly plays a vital role, but not only in protecting the environment, it also plays a vital role in our transition to net zero emissions by 2045, reducing material reduction or extraction, so to say, and using our resources in a more efficient way. These are truly crucial steps to achieve the goals that we have. And one specific challenge that we're facing globally that is growing and that is quite underestimated by many, I would say, is plastic pollution. Plastic pollution continues to be one of the most prominent global challenges, and there are global negotiations ongoing with the mission to close a global deal that are unique opportunity to manage to put an end to plastic pollution. And every year, huge volumes of plastic pollution is released into the environment, and the rate of plastic pollution is still increasing, very much so. And if we can reduce plastic and start to reuse all of the plastic that we already have in our society, we know that we can also keep the oil in the ground. So there are multiple benefits. We know that there are also very many hazardous and persistent chemicals, such as hormone system disruptors, carcinogens, present in many of our plastic materials. And to secure the safe reuse and recycling of plastics, the best measure is to control the use of such hazardous chemicals in the design phase, so as early on as possible. And this is very interconnected to transitioning to a circular economy. It is interconnected with limiting the use of hazardous chemicals and ending plastic pollution. And this has for a very long time been the view in Sweden, and I know that I have many Nordic colleagues that agree with me, but it is a misconception that sustainability and sustainable development is achieved after making the correct choice between environment and economy. And this is a reoccurring topic during the negotiations that we have globally. We know that in reality, you can't have one without the other. We need to make sure that challenges that we face right now with biodiversity loss, climate change, and pollution, these fragmented approaches will never be enough. To address the scale and the complexity of the issues that we are facing, we must cooperate not only across global borders, but also between the global and national levels of governance and the local levels, not least. So here we find a big opportunity in Nordic cooperation. It is fundamental for our success and a beacon of hope for a truly better future. Because I know when I meet my Nordic colleagues and the Nordic Council of Ministers that we can truly cooperate with a lot of the same values and foundational aspects of how to take care of our nature and of our planet. So let's continue to strengthen our ties and work together towards a more prosperous, just and sustainable future. Our efforts cannot stop at national boundaries or be limited to government action alone. We should bring together businesses, civil society, and the international community in one cohesive effort. Nordic cooperation has brought numerous benefits, as you might know. We have an economic growth that has been bettering, we have a social welfare that is well developed, and we do have a level of environmental sustainability that stands out amongst many other countries. And by working together, we have created a region that is known for the high quality of life, innovation, and resilience. Our collaborative efforts in areas such as education and energy and healthcare and technology has truly set global standards and inspired many other regions to follow. The Sustainable Living Programme, funded by the Nordic Council of Ministers and coordinated by Nordic, is a statement and a testament of the power of collective action. We know that it reminds us that sustainable development is not only a goal, but a continuous journey that requires the participation of all sectors in our society to truly achieve its goals. And I think that this program is also an example of how we can foster sustainable lifestyle choices and integrate sustainability into our everyday lives through concrete guidelines and Nordic peer learning. Today, you will get a chance to explore the results and the recommendations of the different projects that are involved. And at the heart of these efforts is the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The 2030 Agenda provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. And the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, they recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health, education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth. all while tackling the climate change and working to preserve our oceans and our forests. So let's continue to strengthen our ties and to work hard together towards a more prosperous, just and sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Romina, so much for this. So I'm going to continue to talk to you now.
Yes, please do so.
So we are here today, all of these people, all here and all online.
Yes.
Because we want to speed up the green transition. So can you just explain a little bit, what will the government do more in order to make that happen?
Well, I'm glad for this question. The answer when it comes to speeding up the climate transition and the green transition is in general, I'd say it's 4 things. Because Sweden is, to start off, I'm not going to make this answer too long now, I'm becoming the politician with a long answer, but I need to start off by, Sweden is facing a bit of a different challenge than many other countries. And the basis of this is our energy systems and our electricity systems. So when I speak to many of my colleagues, they're speaking on how can we get coal, oil and gas out of our energy system and our electricity system? How can we make sure that when we turn on the lights and when we heat up our buildings, we're not doing it on the cost of the planet? So that's a discussion I have with many of my colleagues. But in Sweden, we're not having that fundamental challenge. We do have a close to clean electricity system with hydropower, which electrified our nation, with wind power being 20% in our country now and hopefully growing, and with nuclear power. So we do have a close to clean electricity system. And when it comes to energy, we also make use of a lot of good technologies to not use that much fossil that a lot of other countries do. So what are the true challenges that Sweden is facing? Well, they differ a bit from other countries. I'd say one of the big challenges is to provide the effect and amount of electricity for difficult, hard to abate big industries to not see the big risk of transitioning from fossil to electricity. So 1/3 of Sweden's emission is from industry and another third is from transport sector. So these are 2 vital sectors and they want electricity and they want to be able to rely on electricity to make that jump and that leap towards shifting to a clean industry. And then we have the permitting processes, which is quite a boring topic, but me and my colleagues in the EU, we talk about it a lot because we have very strict environmental legislation that we're very proud of and it's very important, but sometimes it tends to slow down the implementation of changes to industries. And that's a problem because we don't have that amount of time. And then we have the skills. We need to have the skills necessary. For example, when I speak to a lot of the municipalities in Sweden, they say that they want to implement climate adaptation projects. They have the plan, they've developed it, they've made use of the skills from our authority on what should we do in this area, but then they can't find that person to hire to do the actual project. So we need to develop the skills for the green transition. And lastly, it's a matter of infrastructure. And I was a bit confused by this because many companies I spoke to, for example, raised when I asked them, okay, what do you need to be able to make this shift? And they'd say, we need railways, obviously you can understand that, but we also need better roads. And I was a bit confused on what does roads have to do with green transition? But for example, if they are to shift towards a heavy-duty truck that's electric, it has a heavy battery, and the roads can't really handle those types of vehicles. They need to have a lot of shifts that you wouldn't expect. So infrastructure is a bit of a tricky part, and I'm pleased to have a co-worker in Andreas Karlsson providing a big infrastructure proposition now for the 12 coming years, where we've gone as far as the authority says that we can go. So Trafikverket, the Swedish authority in charge, says that we can't get any more, we don't want any more money than this because we can't implement it. So yet again, we need the skills, we need to hire people, we need education to be able to deliver all of the solutions that we need. So Sweden is in a bit of an odd position, I'd say. And then, if I might add one thing, because I know you're discussing circular economy quite a lot, and I know that perhaps a discussion will be on consumer-based emissions. I've tried to bring this into Swedish politics. I have a lot of friends in the parliament from different parties trying to bring in consumer-based emissions into politics. It's very tricky. It's very tricky discussion right now. How do we count carbon emissions in different countries? And this is a problem because I can always proudly say Sweden, we're lowering our emission, we lower our emissions, and we have done that and we should be proud of it. But also we're not taking into consideration our consumption-based emissions. And they are quite a big part. As you know, Sweden is a very globalized country. We buy a lot of things. If you're, for example, buying a washing machine, it's going to be rare that it's entirely produced in Sweden. So the emissions are somewhere else, and you can blame another country whilst patting yourself on your shoulder, and that's a problem. So I decided on an inquiry, as we say in Sweden, an utredning, to have a look on consumption-based emissions as well as export benefits. So how do Swedish companies contribute to lowering emissions in other places by exporting clean products and services? And how are we also contributing to emissions in other places? And it's been quite a tricky inquiry to make, but you can read about it online if you're very interested, which I'm guessing a few people in this room are.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're actually right. And we will be talking about this. So this was a great segue.
Very good.
You're going to stand here, but I want you to
Yes.
give a big round of applause. Thank you, Romina,
Thank
for
you.
sharing everything that you did.